Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. We will be previewing the opening game of the European Championship between Germany and Scotland. React to Edin Terzic stepping down as manager of Borussia Dortmund. We discuss, I'm gonna give y'all my, predictions for the Euros, the champions, and predictions for the individual awards, such as, player of the tournament and goal scorer of the tournament and all that, golden glove, golden ball, golden boot. I'll be giving y'all my top 5 European Championship moments in my lifetime of watching football. Obviously, I'm not an old dude. I'm 20 years old, so my first European Championship where I was really attentive was 2012. And make sure you stick around for the end of the show. I'll be giving you my reaction on some of the top headlines going on in the world of football. Before we start off, I would like to ask that you like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions that come in during the show, so to ensure that your questions get read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I can see it, and it also really helps grow the show. So again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net. We start off with a preview of the opening game of the European Championship. Obviously, this is a European Championship that had there was a lot to it. This is a European Championship that's gonna have so many storylines in so many different, ways you want to look at it. But we start off with the first topic, the opening game of this European Championship between Germany and Scotland. I think it's a blockbuster kind of opening game to start off the tournament. When you look at the Germany, them being the home nation, this is not some small footballing nation. This is a proper football country with a lot of talented players that have high expectations because of the level of squad on the field. And then you have a team in Scotland that has passion. It's a British nation. They have passion, they have desire, they have all that, and they have a belief, and they have an amazing support led by the Tartan Army that are gonna come. They're gonna travel. They're gonna travel with numerous amount. You could tell Munich is already filled with people from the Tartan Army, Scottish fans. So it's clear the kind of impact the Scottish fans will be able to have at this European Championship. Now, as far as this opening game, it's crucial in Germany's perspective. I spoke about this yesterday. I'm gonna go in depth with them even more today. In numerous tournaments in the past, this opening game has set the tone for how much of a failure the tournament has been for Germany's. When you look at the past couple World Cups and Euros, the 2 World Cups, they ended up losing. They got shocked in the first game of the 2018 World Cup by Mexico. They end up losing to France in the European Championship, the opening game, and they lost their opening game in the World Cup, this past World Cup in 2022, to Japan. 3 bad results to start off the tournament, and it kind of created a knock-on effect for the rest of the tournaments. Germany went on to get eliminated in the World Cup group stages in 2018. They narrowly, by the skin of their teeth, in the last kick of the game, about 4 or 5 minutes left, they needed a goal to equalize against Hungary on their home pitch, by the way, just to scrape past home group stages to get into the knockout stages, where they were immediately knocked out by the English national team. And then in the World Cup the following year, they end up getting eliminated in the group stages of that World Cup. So it's clear the kind of tone and how important it is for Germany to get this Euros off to a great start. They need nothing less than a victory, nothing less than a dominant performance. And, it's been clear over the past few years or so, the level of disinterest almost from the German fans, from the German public regarding this German national team. The passion has not been there that we've seen before. It's been very, very clear. And it's very important for Germany to get the support of the nation, because look, before this, let's say the Germany team was not home at this European Championship, would we honestly believe that they would be winning the European Championships? No. We'd realistically, we'd look at this team, how they have a few, young players like Musiala, Havertz, Wirtz. We'll be looking at this team as kind of a team building for the future, kind of like how we've seen Spain over the past few years, where we just want to see a steady progression from how bad it's been the past few years. And we reasonably would be expecting quarterfinals. But now that the fact that they're a home team, there's a heightened level of expectations in this European Championship, and the fact that, quarterfinal is not enough. You need a semifinal, you need a final, you need to potentially win it for this to be a successful tournament. So, it's clear that the home aspect of it has to play a factor. If Germany want to make this run and go on to potentially win these European Championship, the support from the Germans has to be there, has to be top notch, and they really have to feel like the home team, and the home atmosphere, the electricity that could be provided by the team, the spark by the German national team, has to be very crucial in this game. There's no two ways about it. Not just this game, but in this tournament in general, for Germany to win this European Championship. And for them to get that support, it starts off with the first game. Setting the tone, letting them know that this is not the same Germany of the last few years. This is a Germany revitalized. This is a team led by Julian Nagelsmann that are here to make a difference. Now, Nagelsmann has just talked about Scotland being a dangerous team who are going to try to take advantage of all the pressure that is on the Germans as being the host of the European Championship, which is massive. Especially when you're a big team like Germany, there's huge pressure on you as the hosts. And when they're going to meet Scotland in this opening game, they're going to smell blood. Or the Scottish players, they're going to smell blood. They're going to understand the pressure that's on these players, and they're going to take advantage of it. Scotland doesn't have, the crazy, they don't have the likes of, Florian Wirtz, Musiala, all that. They don't have that kind of talent, but they have a philosophy, they have a structure. They're coming onto this European Championship on very, very good form. Within Euro qualifiers, they actually, defeated Spain at Hampden Park, and they had a very good qualifying tournament. They won their first 5 games in qualifiers. They very comfortably qualified through the group stages of the Euro qualifiers. And in recent friendlies since then, they've struggled quite a bit, but still, we know what they're capable of. Now, they're going to be very, very strong defensively in terms of they're not going to leave much spaces open. They're not going to leave much gaps. They have that back 5 that they play. They have the 2 pivots that play very compact, that close the spaces between the center backs. And they really rely on depth created by their fullbacks in Robertson. And it's going to be very crucial for them springing a few attacks in general. They're going to be direct with playing Lyndon Dykes up there, who's not the most technical striker, but he's physical. He has height. He's lively in dangerous areas. He's a hard worker all the way to the end of the 90th minute. He's going to be in the right place at the right time, working hard, pressing, getting on loose balls. You saw the type of goal he scored against Norway, just being at the right place at the right time. His energy levels, 90 minutes in, equalizing at the end, ended up leading to a crazy game winner later on. Lyndon Dykes, he won't give you technical ability, but he gives you, that work rate and an element of being able to play more direct. And that's going to be crucial. Now, the goals is where the goals are going to come from Scotland in this game. Now, Scott McTominay, he's going to be crucial for them this tournament. His capacity to make runs into the box, to get on the right areas, to, potentially find himself in a goal-scoring opportunity. That's going to be crucial. Callum McGregor, similar in that notion. John McGinn making those late runs. playing direct with Lyndon Dykes, him getting on the end of crosses. Now, goals will be a question mark, but also something I fear about this Germany team is I think we could be potentially destined for a 0-0 draw in this opening game just because of the way the Scottish team plays. And the problem that Germany has had is their lack of cutting edge in not being able to get that final breakthrough. Just a little bit lack of cutting edge and just not being able to get the ball into the back of the net. And I think that's pretty concerning when your center forward is Kai Havertz, because, Kai Havertz, there's certain moments where he's not at the right place at the right time. When he plays as a number 9, there's certain times that he doesn't make that right run within this. He's not generally used to being a box striker. He's more of like a false 9 type of striker. And that could be a little... that could be an issue whenever whenever Scotland is going to be playing with a low block, keeping things a little bit tight, closing the space on Kai Havertz. Then you're going to need, the cleverness of a special forward, making those little, tricky runs to track in between the lines, something, that kind of striker movements. And I don't think you get that much from Kai Havertz, which I think is going to play into the hands of Scotland. So, I do think Füllkrug might be the better option for this game, just because of the way Scotland play. I don't know if Havertz is going to be able to make those little clever runs in certain areas, drift off a run or something, just make that clever movement to open up just a second of space. And then now once he gets that moment of space, is he going to be able to even be clinical enough to get that into the back of the net? I think you're going to need that clinicalness, because you're not going to be able to create, you're going to have a lot of possession and you're going to have a lot of chances, but you're not going to have a lot of you're not going to create a lot of box chances. And I could see this game ending in a 0-0 draw. But the thing that concerns me is, let's say, Germany do struggle to score. Now, defensively, I think they're prone to, make some mistakes in that back end. I think defensively, they've made mistakes, especially they're gonna put numbers forward. They're going to really put some numbers forward, especially as the time goes on, as it's 0-0 longer. They're going to start chasing that goal with the home nation behind them. They're going to start putting numbers forward. And then I feel like on the counter, it can lead to potentially a mistake. And then, I think Scotland, can create something on the counter. So I really think this is going to be a fascinating game. I predict 0-0. I think this is destined for a 0-0 game. But, it could really go either way. And I think it's a great way to start this European Championship. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we're going to discuss Edin Terzic stepping down as manager of Borussia Dortmund.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Before the break, we discussed we previewed the opening game of the Euros between Germany and Scotland. We now move on to discuss Edin Terzic stepping down as manager of Borussia Dortmund. Real quick, I want to respond to some of these comments from Ghost of Gorillatis or whatever. Is Olise going to NUFC? I assume you're talking about Newcastle United, I believe. Or maybe it's a typo and you're trying to say Manchester United, but I don't know. But if Olise does move on, I think he's going to move on to either like a club like a Chelsea or a Manchester United. I don't think Newcastle, even though I don't want to disrespect Newcastle, it is still a step up from Crystal Palace. I don't think that's the move he's looking for. And the USMNT is trash. Well, I mean, okay, bro. I don't know what team you root for, so I can't really talk mess about your team if you don't want to state it. But okay, whatever, bro. But yeah, Edin Terzic, he stepped down as a manager of Borussia Dortmund. Yeah, interesting development here. Edin Terzic, he's left Borussia Dortmund after leading this team to second place in the Bundesliga last season, narrowly missing out on the title on the final day, and also taking this team to the Champions League final this season, a run that we did not see impossible. You know, if we went to when entering into that group stages, I really thought it would be a massive struggle for Dortmund to even get out of that group. Not only did they get out of the group, but they managed to win it in spectacular fashion when you look at the fact that they did it in a group with Paris Saint-Germain, Newcastle United, and I believe the fourth team. Who was the fourth team? And AC Milan. So impressive in that. But yes, Edin Terzic has left his role as the Borussia Dortmund manager. He, in a statement, he said, "Dear Borussians, even though it hurts me brutally right now, I would like to let you know that I'll be leaving BFB as of today. It was a huge honor to lead the great club to a German Cup victory and most recently to a Champions League final. At our final at Wembley, I asked those in charge for a chat because after 10 years at BVB, 5 of them as part of the coaching team and 2.5 as head coach, I feel that the upcoming new start should be accompanied by a new man on the touchline." Now, you know, we all know that they lost that Champions League final to Real Madrid 2-0. And Terzic, who, you know, he became the manager right before the 2022-23 season began. He became the permanent manager after, you know, being involved in the club as an assistant coach, then as an interim manager, and then hiring Marco Rosa, not working out, and then him returning as back to being the manager again. And yeah, it's interesting developments in my opinion. Now we know the comments that came from Matt Hummels before the Champions League final, which was just interesting comments talking about how Matt Hummels did not like how the Borussia Dortmund were playing at the beginning of the year, the style of play. He thought it was too defensive. He didn't think it was proper Borussia Dortmund football. Now, the timing of those comments, I didn't ignore it. I still talked about it in the show, but I didn't make it as big of a deal as it should be, because, you know, it's the fact that it came right before a Champions League final and I was more focused on that final itself. And maybe I should have, you know, really broke down those comments even more, because, you know, it was clear the disconnect within the organization. And, you know, I'm not going to act a fool. That definitely has a lot. I think that might have to do a lot with what's going on here. Because Terzic, you know, this is a guy that's Borussia Dortmund through and through. And, you know, you cannot argue that you know, Terzic is this is boyhood club, all that, like, you know, he has a connection with this club, an emotional connection, but there's definitely something that, you know, is bothering him, that he was able to leave. Now there was the tension with Matt Hummels, and it's interesting with Matt Hummels because, you know, there was reports, rumors saying Hummels said, if Edin Terzic is staying, then I'm not staying. Then Edin Terzic goes on to resigns, but then Hummels is not being offered a contract, and he's looking like he's going to be set to leave. Just a weird dynamic going on. I think the way Matt Hummels handled the comments that he made beforehand was very disgraceful and really bad, because You don't make such comments on the eve of the Champions League final within that same week. You don't make that comment before that. That's something, if you say a period, you wait till at least after the season. You never say that before, because that's just making it about yourself. I don't know if he's trying to make himself look better by saying, wow, things changed whenever I went to the board and made a difference. I don't know what he was trying to say in terms of that. It made that, those comments was really ridiculous for me. And I think, Borussia Dortmund are doing good to, let him go. Now, there was Nuri Sahin and I believe there was another player that came in, or another assistant manager that came in halfway through the season to help out with Edin Terzic to be the assistant. And, that kind of shifted maybe the style of play that Hummels was alluding to. And maybe that's something that also bothered Edin Terzic in the fact that, they didn't believe in how he was, his way, and they wanted to bring in someone else to change it. And he doesn't want to be like a yes man. He wants to be the manager of a club. So he was bothered by that. Maybe that has something to do with it as well, frustrations and that. But yeah, it's definitely quite fishy there. Now, Nuri Sahin, they came in. Now, obviously, the level of play, the performances amongst the team, the results from the team improved since him and the other assistant came in. They started playing a little bit more better football, a little bit more pleasing football. There's no denying that. So I think Borussia Dortmund and the board look at that, and they look at that as a good profile of resume as Nuri Sahin. Now, Nuri Sahin did also coach in the Turkish league, so he does have experience in that aspect. He's not completely raw, but maybe the 6 months at Dortmund, how impressive they were reaching the Champions League final since he came in, that really put him in a good position to land this job. So he's it's looking more and more likely that he's gonna be the manager for Borussia Dortmund, or he's set to become the manager for Borussia Dortmund, which I think in the circumstances that they are, I think it's a good move in the fact that you don't want to reshuffle it completely. You want to bring in a guy that's, Borussia Dortmund shown that they like someone with a knowledge of the Borussia Dortmund situation, that's, part of the community, that's part of the culture there. And Nuri Sahin is a former player, was part of the team that reached the Champions League final under Jurgen Klopp. So there's that aspect to it. So in terms of that, it looks like a very, very good move, the style of play and all that. So yeah, as far as that, I like that move for Borussia Dortmund. Now, Edin Terzic and his future, I feel like Edin Terzic is still in a good position here to land a good job, in the fact that what he did at Borussia Dortmund, in my opinion, was very, very impressive. Because this is a Borussia Dortmund team, in my opinion, that doesn't have... Their squad is not that good. Their squad is not the likes of the squad that Jurgen Klopp led to the Champions League final. What he was able to do in this... And this has been a selling club, under the past 6, 7, 8 years, or even longer, but more so this has almost been an academy the past 5, 6 years or so. And what he's been able to do, despite the coming in, coming out, he led that team to second place last season. And in my opinion, I can't blame him for the collapse, because at the end of the day, the collapse, the players have a lot to do with that sort of collapse. The way that they collapsed in the last few match days, the players have to, come up clutch in certain moments, have to, take that next step. It's all about the clutchness with players. And I don't think Edin Terzic can manage around that. I don't think he can give that clutch factor to the players, that bottle to the players. So I don't blame him for bottling that. And what he did, taking this team to the Champions League final this season, very, very impressive. I think a sign of a good manager is a manager that's able to make a team better than the sum of their parts. And I think he's done that at Borussia Dortmund, despite their bad season this season of finishing 5th. In general, I think he's had a good run. And I really look for him to potentially get a Premier League job. I think he's had a brilliant run. And I think he's a very good manager, very good. He speaks English, so that could help him in the Premier League aspect if that's what he wants to do. He's a good communicator. You could tell tactically he's pretty astute. He's a good manager. I really like Edin Terzic, so I definitely don't think this is the end of his managerial career at all. short break here coming up. When we come back, we're going to, I'm going to do my Euro 2024 predictions.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Before the break, we discussed Edin Terzic stepping down as manager of Borussia Dortmund. We now discuss, or I give my predictions on, my Euro 2024 champions, player of the year, goal scorer of the year, all that good stuff. Obviously, the European Championships kick off tomorrow, and I think it's the perfect opportunity we have to make such predictions. Now, this could be really, really good. I can, come out and start cooking, or I could get really flamed. So, stay with me, stay with me, and, you're about to get on a ride real quick. So let's start off. I don't know if we should start off with, player of the tournament, goal scorer of the tournament, the individual awards, or my winners. I'm going to start off with at least the best. I'm going to start with my breakout star. Obviously, some huge contenders here. Florian Wirtz, Xavi Simons. Jamal Musiala was not really a breakout star, but, there's plenty of players. Joshua Zirkzee. I'm going to go with Lamine Yamal. I don't want to think about this too much, because, I think it's just such an obvious choice. So, number one, he's a sure, starting right winger. He's going to be the right winger for Barcelona. He's 16 years old, which is ridiculous. The way he could go left, right, both feet, his ability in tight spaces, his ability to be vertical, to get past the player one-on-one and to open up space for his teammates, the ball at his feet. That's the kind of players that I love. He's just so technically gifted. He is so young, and even though his name has, popped up around here and there, nobody has really had his eyes on him, because let's be frank, Barcelona really hasn't been playing the biggest of games. They reached the Champions League quarterfinals, but he hasn't been on the biggest of lights yet. I think this European Championship is going to be the biggest of lights, and I feel like he's poised for a breakout tournament, and he's going to show us why. He is an excellent player, but I also think Florian Wirtz is also on the verge of a breakout tournament. I think Musiala is going to continue to break out. And then I think Xavi Simons is a good option in there as well. So obviously game time is going to be very, very important. So, but Lamine Yamal, he's going to be my breakout player of the tournament. Now my golden boot. So the most goals of this turn, or let's go golden glove. I think the golden glove, which is going to be the most clean sheets, or not most clean sheets, but best goalkeeper of this tournament. I'm gonna go. Wow. I don't know, because this is kind of like a defensive award at the same time, rather than just golden glove. I think this is really a defensive award at the same time. I'm gonna go with Livakovic, the Croatian goalkeeper, Dominik Livakovic. I feel like Croatia's primed for another, potential deep run in this tournament. He's a very, very good goalkeeper. I think Croatia's defense is going to be strong in general, and I think in penalty shootouts, he's a great penalty shootout goalkeeper. So I think some of his performances penalty shootout will really give him. I don't know how Golden Glove works, if it's just based on number of clean sheets or it's based on how good you were in the entire tournament. But I think based on performance, I definitely think he has a very good chance to win that Golden Glove award. Now, Golden Boot, most goals. You see, the obvious answer here is Kylian Mbappe, Harry Kane. Those are the two guys that really, really gonna be up there. Really gonna get the most, the biggest bets and all that. Yeah, I don't know if it's, I think I'm gonna go. I don't know where I'm gonna go actually. I don't. That's one I was like, I held it in. I was saying, okay, I'm just gonna decide on the spot. But now that I think about it, really bad idea, because I really don't know who I want to go in that. I don't know who I want to go. Man, I'm just gonna go with the obvious one, Kylian Mbappe. No, I'm not. Actually, am I? Kane, Mbappe. Who else? Ronaldo. Who for Germany? Who's there? Kai Havertz? Hell no. I'm gonna go. Yeah, this is a difficult one. Maybe one of those potential breakthroughs. Maybe someone like a Memphis Depay actually for the Netherlands. Can they make a deep enough run though? That's the thing. But then again, Patrick Schick, I think he won the last one and he only reached the quarterfinals. So at the end of the day, just maybe one hat trick could really make a difference early on. That's the thing. That's the tricky thing about these. I'm gonna go with Mbappe. Yeah, let's just make it simple. I'm gonna go with Mbappe, but really, I don't know. My golden ball, Kevin De Bruyne. I think he's had a up and down this season at Man City in terms of injuries and all that. But in the games that he played really, really well. I think Belgium, as a dark horse, they're primed in the fact that nobody is talking about them. So I really look at Belgium, or as Kevin De Bruyne. I think he's primed for a very good tournament. I think he can lead this Belgium team kind of on his back and take them very, very far into this tournament. So I'm going to give my golden ball of the tournament to Kevin De Bruyne. So it all leads to the final, the final thing I'm going to say, which is who do I have winning the entire European Championship? I think this team is a team that's getting disrespected in the fact that I think they still have quality players, but there's no expectations upon them anymore because there's this perceived notion that the golden generation is past them, even though, to a certain extent that is the truth. But when you look at the fact that I still think they have talented players and I don't think the pressure is there. I think there's a new manager in that's going to relieve some pressure too, that's going to change it up, make it a little bit more lively. So I'm going to take Belgium. Yeah, I'm going to shock everyone. I think Belgium is going to win this European Championship. I just love that team from midfield to attack. When you talk about Onana, Tielemans, Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku, Trossard, and Jeremy Doku. I don't think there's much better front sixes in the tournament. I think defensively they've shown their weaknesses over the past few tournaments. But if you're looking at it based on form, in the last 6 games they've held 5 clean sheets, which is very, very impressive. They've shown, despite the aging, their reliance on some aging players like a Vertonghen, still I think there's still a solid team defensively. I think, Thibaut Courtois, that's going to be a massive hit for them because he is a brilliant goalkeeper despite, all his other issues attitude issues, all that, captaincy issues, all that. He's still a brilliant, brilliant goalkeeper. Now, that's the thing that makes me hesitate on choosing this Belgium team. I think, maybe they are a Thibaut Courtois away, maybe. But then again, I think that there's a new culture, new tradition, and I'm not sleeping on this Belgium team at all to win this European Championship. Now, I also think Germany are also a contender in the fact that they are the home team. Don't get me wrong. I don't think England are a realistic shot to win it. I think Spain, Netherlands, France, obviously, they're right behind. They're right with Belgium, or not even. Belgium is like a crazy prediction by me. France are really the clear favorites in this. I think they're the only legitimate favorites. I think maybe you could put a team like a Spain and Portugal within their tier, maybe. I think England fall in the tier below with the likes of the Netherlands, Italy. I think England is in that tier. I don't give them any sort of realistic shot. The fact that they're number one in the bookies is it's like free money for the bookies. Like, come on, bruh. Number one, they're the favorites. Like you'd have to be stupid to bet for England to win the European Championship. That's just a stupid bet to make. Like, it's mind-boggling to me. Yes, the players in this squad is talented, but there's always an issue with England. England is England, and they'll always mess up. They don't have that bottle to get past certain moments in the quarterfinals and the semifinals against legit opposition. And with Gareth Southgate being on the wheel. And keep in mind, this is an England team in the past that's had better defenses. England over this new golden generation, England's defenses has generally been the weakness. Now it's a real big weakness in the fact there's no Maguire. You're going to be playing an inexperienced Mark Gahey. I think England had a better shot to win the last World Cup than these European Championships. That's my take on them. Short break here coming up. When we come back, I'm going to discuss some of my top 5 European Euros moments of my lifetime. European Championship moments of my lifetime.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Top 5 European Championship moments in my lifetime. In my lifetime of watching football. Now, obviously, European Championship has, existed for a very, very long time. But I'm 20 years old, which means realistically, the first European Championship where I really could be attentive in watching will be the Euro 2012 one, which is the first one, that I started watching. I was probably 8 years old, that tournament. 8 years old. Could be 9 later on. I was born in October, so I was 8 years old watching that tournament. That's the first one that I was really attentive watching. Mostly emotionally, because I didn't really understand the tactics of soccer at that point. But really, when you're talking about moments, it's all emotion-based most of the time. So, no real tactic talk or none of that in this segment. I'm going to break down my top 5 moments I've watched. There's a lot of brilliant moments. There's a lot of moments, real quick, going back, if you want to go back, because some honorable mentions, because these are just moments that I can't talk about because I didn't watch them. But there's the game in the I believe it was the 2008 Euros where the Turkey came back against Czech Republic. They were down 2-0 with 15 minutes left, and Czech Republic in Turkey went on to score 3 goals against the Czech. That amazing moment. There's when Ballack, his bullet free kick when they needed a win against Austria to make the knockout stage games. There's the Rooney moment in 2003 where he made his debut. He ran onto the scene. There's Ibrahimovic and his flick against Italy in 2004. There's Ricardo where he got rid of his gloves in one penalty shootout against when Portugal beat England in the semifinal or in the quarterfinals in Euro 2024 with there's no gloves and all that. It's just some brilliant moments. There's Pirlo's and his brilliant Panenka penalty to knock out England. I remember that, man. I remember that vividly. That was so fun. That was so fun. I'm an English hater, so I think number 5 for me will probably be. I'm gonna say number 5 will be. Where was this moment? Switzerland. No, number 5 for me will be Germany-Hungary. Germany-Hungary at the last European Championship. This was a game that Germany needed to just get a point to secure qualification, and they lost would have eliminated them. They would have finished last in the group, would have been an automatic elimination. And they're the home team going up against Hungary. Hungary take the lead early in the game. They're up 1-0. Germany are chasing it for a very long stretch. They finally were able to equalize in the 68th minutes or so. Kai Havertz on a cross, and you're like on a free kick, on a set piece free kick. So you're thinking, wow, okay, that's the moment that Germany needed. Now they can really take this game over. They can move on to the next round, and then immediately, I'm talking like 30 seconds later, on the kickoff, they play a long ball, and I forgot what was his name, but he got on the end of a long ball, and he was able to head it past the Neuer. Neuer, the sweeper keeper role. Neuer came out, and he was able to head it over him. And boom, just like that, Hungary were back in the lead 2-1. And then for the last 20-25 minutes, it was very big of chase for Germany. They needed to do everything they could. They just needed that 1 point, and they really were putting numerous players forward, all that. They created so many they got the ball in so many dangerous areas. They just couldn't get that breakthrough. Toni Kroos, Leroy Sané, all that. Finally, they get the ball in a nice area, and in the 86th minute, Leon Goretzka gets a deflection and it nestles into the back of the net. And man, if you see the way the Germans celebrated, it was just a huge sense of relief, because they were playing that European Championship in the group stages at home, and that was wow, it was just incredible. The way it happened, that game in general, it was just one of those, like, you love football, you have to love football watching that. Number 4, I would say Wales in the Euro 2016. Just in general, what they did, the tournament, I know this is a moment, so I'm going to break down the semifinal, which is the moment that, that was the penultimate moment, the quarterfinal, where they were able to reach the semifinal. This, by the way, was their first European Championship. But in general, at the European Championship, there was such a dramatic team in the way that they won their opening game after getting a goal early, conceding later on, but then finding a way to win it in the dying moments against Slovakia, then against England, scoring early on, getting the whole nation behind you, crowd going crazy on a Gareth Bale free kick, and then spending the second half defending. England were able to equalize. Then they were both going back and forth, and then last minute, England were able to get a winner. And that was a very devastating loss in playing against your rivals. But then Wales were able to quickly bounce back, and they were I think they destroyed Russia 3-0 in that final game. And England went on to drop points for against Slovakia, which allowed Wales to win the group. That opened up a potential pathway for them to make this run. They were able to get past Northern Ireland, which is actually against another British rival. Because that's a British team. They're able to get past Northern Ireland in the round of 16 off of an own goal, and then in the quarterfinals, that ultimate game going up against Belgium, they They suffer a goal early. Nainggolan with another rocket shot. He had multiple at that European Championships. Nainggolan scores a brilliant goal. And then, Belgium Wales kind of chasing the game. They're able to get back in it with a set piece to make it 1-1 with Ashley Williams. And then in the 60th minute, the magic moment, the moment of Wales football, Hal Robson-Kanu gets the ball on the first touch, and Cruyff turns two Belgium defenders. I believe it was Fellaini, and I think it was Jordan Lukaku, I believe. So I forgot who it was exactly. But he was able to Cruyff turn past them, turned both of them, finished it. It was a brilliant goal, and they take the lead in the 68th, 69th minute. I remember Aaron Ramsey. He was fantastic that game. In the 81st, 82nd minute, as Belgium is putting pressure on, they go on the counter. And I think it was Ramsey plays in a ball to Vokes, who came on, more of a direct number 9, is able to head it home. And that's the moment they knew they were going to be semi-finalists. You saw the crowd, how they celebrated. It was just a beautiful moment to see that team. Because these British Isle teams, England is the team that gets all the international attention. But these teams, they come in with huge passion in Wales and Scotland. Huge passion. And what they were able to accomplish that European Championships was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So I have them 3. So just to recap real quick, I have them 3. I had what happened with... who did I have for that? I'm missing... I forgot what else did I have? Oh yeah, no, I had them 4. So now it's number 3 because I had the I had the Hungary-Germany game. So now number 3, I'm gonna go with where was it? Italy, Euro 2021, winning the final on penalties. Obviously, they were down very early in that finals, and they're playing this finals on, at Wembley, which is an away game for them. It was near full capacity, despite the capacitation limits at that time due to COVID. But they conceded a goal early, and they were chasing the game. They were finally able to get the breakthrough on set piece. And then from then on, it was just Italy. England from then on really couldn't get a foot in the game, and it was just whether or not Italy were able to be able to find the second. It was kind of a cagey affair for the rest of the time. 120 minutes, there was no time to decide it. And Italy, not only they were down in the game, they also went down in the penalty shootout. I believe it was Bonucci that missed the penalty. I believe, was it Bonucci? No. Yeah, it might have been Bonucci. I forgot, but someone missed the penalty for Italy. And they went down, but they didn't go out. They kept it in the game, and then Rashford ended up missing, and then the rest is history. Sancho misses, Saka misses, and Italy are European champions. So yeah, that was a fantastic moment. Now number 2 has to be. And a lot of people argue number 1. Number 2 for me was Cristiano Ronaldo winning the European Championship. Obviously, him getting that breakthrough moment as a Portuguese international, not having an international trophy. Huge breakthrough for him to win the European Championship. But, and not only how he did it, the dominance that he had against Hungary, and, the game winner against Croatia and all that, or not game winner, Charisma ended up finishing home, but he created that opportunity. Very good tournament by him. But the moments that I'm talking about is in the final. He gets injured early on. He's crying as he's walking off the pitch. The way in the second half and extra time he's coaching, you see the passion, you see the leadership, you see how much he wants it, and then you see the celebrations after the game. How emotional he is after watching the whole second half of his team competing. It's just what football is about. So I think that's a fantastic moment. Now, number 1 for me is clear. It's pretty simple. It's a moment I hold dear in my heart, because when it comes to Euros, I'm a Brazil fan in general, but when it comes to Europe, I support Italy. I've always have all my life. It just is what it is. Has to be Euro 2012. Now, Euro 2016 was also, or Euro 2021 when Italy won, also a great moment for me. Don't get me wrong. But I think Euro 2012, that semi-final game, Mario Balotelli taking over against Germany. This is a Germany team that had a lot of expectations, all that. But this was an Italy team that had, talent. They had their defensive ability. They came off getting past England in the quarterfinal. It was just like this Italy team with Montevideo, Marchisio, Pirlo. It was just such a very, very good team. Probably the last really golden Italian team. That 2016 team was actually pretty decent too. They reached the quarterfinal. But that 2012 team, really a very good team. They drew against Spain early in the group stages, a brilliant Spain. They ended up losing to them in the final. But what Mario Balotelli did in that semifinal against Germany, getting two goals early on in the first half, scoring a leaving header, just babying one of the German defenders, then receiving a long ball and roofing it into the back of the net. One of the best finishes I've seen still to this day. Just an absolute roofed into the back of the net, absolute perler of a shot. And he just took over that semifinal, and they were able to get past Germany on the back of Mario Balotelli. That's the infamous celebration in that second goal where he takes off the shirt and he flexes. It's just a beautiful scene, and really, I don't like using this term because I think it's getting overplayed, but that was football aura at its finest. So that's my top 5 moments. Short break here coming up. When we come back, I'm going to react to some of the top headlines in the world of soccer. This is going to be a rather shorter segment because of how much I went on the previous segments. We have not that much minutes left. But some of the top headlines going into the soccer world. Now, obviously, the biggest headline is the European Championships kicking off tomorrow. It is probably the second best international tournament in the history of football, in terms of international football, easily. So, that kicking off tomorrow, huge. It's going to be one heck of a summer with that and Copa America. But that, Germany, they kick off their tournament against Scotland tomorrow. It's big chance for guys like Havertz, Musiala, Fleury and Wirtz. Huge opportunity for them to, really get the home nation behind them. So, yeah, there's that. There's Edin Terzic. We talked about it earlier. Him quitting as manager after the UCL final. There's Ten Hag. Ten Hag, it was announced that he's going to be staying on at Manchester United. We talked about that yesterday, but there's also been talks between them, not just about a contract extension, but also a little bit talks over a reduced role in how much he has when it comes to transfers. It's clear some of the transfers that have not worked out for Manchester United over the past few years. When you look at Mason Mount, Casemiro, well, not Casemiro to be honest, because you can't expect much, but Mason Mount, Sofiane Amrabat, Anthony is the big one. Tyrell Malacia, really that injuries to do with it. Andre Onana too. A lot of these players is what Lisandro Martinez has been a good signing, but this season he's been injured. A lot of these players that honestly, look, when it comes to a lot of these players, injuries has a lot to do with them. But the main one that, there's really no excuses for Erik ten Hag is Anthony. That's the big black mark on his resume in terms of, the transfers that he's brought in, because he's been really a failure. For 100 million, he's been no use, almost. He's been a liability. And in amongst the contract negotiations with Erik ten Hag, they're going to try to include a limited role when it comes to his ability, his recruitment, and also the staff, which, really shows what United are doing. They want a similar approach to what this new Chelsea ownership is doing, in having a sort of a yes man as manager. The manager just strictly worrying about coaching the team, and then the board worrying about the players coming in and running the football operations and that. And yeah, Ten Hag is going to be allowed still with this new structure to have a voice, but his role will be limited, and the squad will be assembled for him. So I don't know what that means, but it's clear they want a yes man. Now, Toni Kroos, obviously this is his last European Championship. I think it's a story not talked about much, not because of the lack of greatness of, not last European Championship, but just last football games in general in his career. And I don't think this story is talked about not that much because of his ability. That's not why, because he's a brilliant player. It's because I think kind of his character. He's not out there. He doesn't have an emotional connection with the German fans, kind of like a Thomas Müller does. It's a little bit different. A Thomas Müller, a Miroslav Klose, Podolski, a Schweinsteiger, Philipp Lahm. He's not really like that. He's more of a low-key kind of guy. But still, Nagelsmann obviously is very happy to have him back as they're hosting this European Championship. He talked about how, he said this himself actually, it took a period to convince him because he wanted to know what we were going to change in the future for the national team. He said to me one of the first phone calls that he only will be a part of the team when he has a feeling that we can win something with the team. And then, Nagelsmann, I guess he laid out some sort of plan for Toni Kroos, who originally retired after the 2021 Euros. And then he continued on Nagelsmann. When Nagelsmann was asked by Toni Kroos, so do you know what are going to be the next steps? He said, what are the next decisions, how we can change the team? And Nagelsmann told him. Toni Kroos was like, okay, perfect. Yes, I'll be part of it. Let's rock. And now Kroos, and then he confirmed his return, and now, it is. Also, the fact that this is going to be his last football in general. He's thinking like, let me just play this last final tournament for Germany, us being the home team. He thinks maybe that gives them a realistic shot to win something. So he's like, yeah, let me just play this last tournament for Germany and let me give it for my country one last time. And yes, they open up their European Championships tomorrow against Scotland. We have some very, very good games coming up on Saturday too that we'll be previewing tomorrow. Spain, Hungary play Switzerland, which is very crucial in that Group A game, that tie. We want to see how good Switzerland's going to start off. And there are going to be two major tests for Scotland if they're going to try to progress. Spain take on Croatia, massive, massive game. We're going to see how Croatia is entering this tournament. Is this going to be a similar run to previous? Spain also, we're going to get to see this young team, this new team led by Luis de la Fuente for the first time. And then Italy, Albania, we're going to see how much real contenders of a sleeper team this Albania team can be. I think it's a great way to start off against Italy. It'll be the first, Germany, Scotland, that's also a primetime game. But it'll be the first, besides the host, this will be the first night primetime game at this European Championship. They're going to be playing this game at Signal Iduna Park in front of 45,000 people in that hellacious atmosphere. So, I'm very excited for that game. I'm very excited for Spain-Croatia as well. And yeah, European championships only going to get better and better from there. Bayern, they have signed Japanese center back Ito from Stuttgart. It's interesting for me because Bayern Munich, they've over the past few years, they spent a shocking amount of money on center backs alone. When you look at the likes of Kim Min-jae, Upamecano, Matthias de Ligt, it goes on, and now they're bringing Ito again. By the way, keep in mind they had to bring in Eric Dyer to provide us cover last year on loan halfway through the season, and he came in and he was probably their best center half for the last 6 months, despite this ridiculous amount of money that they've spent on center backs. So is Ito the guy that can really provide some stability amongst that team defensively? I don't know, but obviously Vincent Kompany, he is a legendary center back, so maybe he's able to get that side rolling for Bayern Munich. I'm interested to see how that goes for them next season. Thank you guys for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sport Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.